event. As Director of Content at the Cannabis Community, Amna Shamim has attended and spoken at some of the world's biggest and best known cannabis conventions. And now she's launched cannabisevents.global, which is fast becoming the definitive directory to all cannabis events. Hello and welcome to the Lobsterpot podcast. I'm your host. Host with the most, or the heast with the least, or whatever you want to call me. I'm not Zipper the cat. I was just thinking about the Get Along gang, and then suddenly that popped into my head when I had to put my name into this. So therefore, that's why I've put this here. I'm least Zipper-like out of all the Get Along gang members, but that's a whole other segue that we don't need to get into right now. But today, because, well, it's event season, isn't it? Event season is upon us here in the global cannabis industry. And so who have we brought? We brought our friend along today, Amna Shamim, who is Director of Content at the Cannabis Community and also the founder of cannabisevents.global, which is fast becoming the definitive website for all of your events listing needs. Hello, Amna. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Very energized after that intro.
Okay, well, I'm glad you are because I'm exhausted. No, so there you go. But so yeah, I mean, so cannabisevents.global. It's yeah, tell us a bit more about that because we've got all the events coming up, and it's hard to kind of keep track of things. And if you're kind of planning, if you're a marketer, if you're looking ahead to different things and all the kind of sub events and blah blah blah, it just becomes this kind of eventsness mess, doesn't it? And but you've providing this kind of solution to that. So tell us more.
Well, I mean, it actually came up last year in November. I was on a call with some friends and we were trying to strategize like which events are you going to, which events are you going to? And we realized we're all having to do this manual work of, okay, let me look up when these dates are, when are these dates? And I don't know about everyone else, but usually I will find out about an event a little bit too late to make plans to attend, and it'll be really good ones. I know in the past I've missed NECANN Boston by just a few days because I've flown out of the US, and that's pretty frustrating. I'm based in Europe, so when I fly out of the US, it's
Kind of have to
far,
kind of,
a
I
lot of
think a lot of
effort
people do this,
back.
don't they? If you're going to like, again, I know people from the US when they come to Europe, it's like, okay, well, we've got this one, we've got, this one, and they're all kind of like almost 3 kind of weeks apart. And it's like, well, maybe I could just do a big trip and stick around for like a month or something like that. So,
And a lot of people do. And so it's a lot easier if you can go, okay, Europe, June, what's on? But there wasn't anything. And so everyone in the industry was having to track it. And now let's do this, let's do that. And a lot of people were doing it just for themselves or just for their business, which I understand why.
mhm,
But also we have so much shit we're juggling in this industry, no matter where
mhm,
we are in the supply chain. And it just felt like one of those things that could be made easier. Because if
yes.
I'm doing all the research anyway, which I was, why wouldn't I just share it? And so
Indeed.
cannabisevents.global, the MVP came together in under 2 weeks. Because it was right around when everyone was going to MJ Biz last year, which I didn't make it to, and American Thanksgiving, which I wasn't in the US for. So I had a couple days of downtime, and that's what they were spent on. And since then, it's gotten bigger and better. We have over 200 events now listed. It's a little hard to find the ones that don't have dates yet, but possible. And if that's something that's really important to people, I'm happy to figure out a way to make it
Yeah.
more searchable, because the whole point of the website is to make things easier for everyone in the industry. So if you're coming to Europe in June, you can go Europe, June, what's on? For me, I'm going to be in the States for Cannabis Means Business in June. So I'm doing it. Do it in reverse, where what's on in June? Should I stay in the States and check out a bunch of different events, or does it make more sense to come back to Europe? Because there are a bunch of events in Europe.
So
So
you're kind of listing like by sort of continent or country, or how does it work?
So it's structured in two different ways. And actually, the website was just revamped last week. So
Okay.
now it's got much better search capabilities. So you can search by month. There is the ability to see both calendar and lists simultaneously, and continent, and B2B versus B2C. So if you are
Hmm.
a business that operates fully B2B, you might not be interested in the consumer events, and vice versa. So you can filter by all of these criteria, and it's divided by continent. We don't really have any in Australia, not Australia, sorry, in Antarctica.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to run one there, let me know. I'm happy to
I
list it.
mean, there's some great, Fort McMurdo, if they're listening, then, why not? Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, absolutely. So you can look at it that way in a number of different ways and beat it. And I think that's really important feature is because I think a lot of the time, especially if it's a kind of new-ish show, you're kind of like, well, I don't really know much about it, but, I mean, and there might not be information online, but you have, websites, or there might be minimal information. So it's about understanding or getting a gauge on what's what really. I think having that oversight's important.
Not just new, but also small events. So,
Mm,
I mean, we all know about MJ Biz and we know about Cannabis Means Business and we know about, Cannabis Europe, but like the really big ones. But
mhm,
weirdly, one of the ones I'm personally excited about is the Poconos Cannabis Fest that might not be the exact name, that's happening this summer. Because for me, with ties
mm,
to the East Coast, I'm going to be in New York. If I can loop through and hit this smaller event and get tapped into what's happening in this very small regional part of Pennsylvania, that's a really good insight for me
mm,
as a marketer, because that's what I do. And for me, being connected to the small regional events is really important. It's also
mhm,
important for businesses that are operating in that area or looking to expand into Pennsylvania to tap into these smaller events
mhm.
that
Yes.
generally aren't shared. Um, so no matter how big or small, I want an event listed in there if it's appealing to people in cannabis, whether it's consumers or businesses. And I really want this to become a resource for everybody, quite frankly, which
Mhm.
is why it's so broad as the criteria for what gets listed.
No, that's really, really cool. I think again, like you say, you're working on functionality for like the events, the side events or adjacent events to some of the bigger ones and things like that.
Yeah.
Because again, just from having been on some of those WhatsApp groups for like Barcelona Cannabis Week or Berlin as it's coming up, it's just like, hey, this is happening, this is happening. And it's like, okay, it's hard to get a gauge on, and again, they could all be happening on the same evening, and maybe
And
events organizers will start to look at that a bit more and go, well, maybe if we're going to figure that out, I mean, that could be a useful
well,
resource for them as well, right?
yeah, so two things. One, with the side events, there are only so many nights around a conference. And so a lot of times different groups are organizing and they're not actually part of the conference. They're not affiliated with the
Mm,
conference. There'll be businesses that are attending and want to draw in potential clients or partners or whatever. So I do want to have those. And there are ways to track them, but it's work. So my plan for that, and I'm very open to feedback because this is meant to be the most useful resource
mhm,
possible for the community, is to have some sort of color coding system of like, okay, conferences are blue, but then
mhm,
side parties are pink. I like pink. And
yeah,
then more cultural events, like I know some groups run walking tours. So those could be different. Like, so when you look at something, you can see what it is, but also have the ability to filter for it, which is not a
mhm.
functionality that's there yet, but will be coming.
No, and again, it's great that there's this kind of like live update ability as well, and you can see the different. Because again, a lot of the other sort of calendars, I know a lot of people kind of produce their own ones and sort of go, yeah, but it's generally a sort of PDF or something like that, and it's sort of static. And I think having this kind of live oversight is really, really useful. And like we say, it's not just for attendees, but for exhibitors as well, and for businesses who are looking, and for the organizers too. Because again, it always feels like so many of the bigger events are sort of, either back to back or concentrated in a sort of small amount of time. And they may be on different sides of the world, which is kind of annoying. So event organizers sort it out. Look at
I mean, listen, I've worked in events.
yeah,
They're not just dealing with what works for them. It's also a question of, is the space available, like, and
right.
800 other things. So they have it tough. I'm not going to give them any trouble on that.
Yeah.
But, and it's also not their responsibility to keep track of everything around the world. Like,
Yeah. Well, true that.
it's a resource we need, and other industries have had these calendars. It's just up until last fall, there wasn't really a comprehensive one. I will give a shout out. I believe it was Nissan Co. that did have but it was a list. um,
Hmm.
and it wasn't comprehensive. It was just the ones they thought their clientele would care about, which is fair
Hmm.
because their clientele is specific, but this is much bigger, much broader. This is for everybody. And it is something that is being updated to the best of my ability because it is a passion project and I am floating it time and money wise completely myself right now. Would love to figure out sponsorship at some point, but just to take some of the cost of hosting and running everything off of my bank account. Um,
Hmm.
but at the end of the day, this is something that the community needs. And I think you and I are in agreement about serving the community. And this is
I
kind of what
think
drives that.
this is it. I mean, again, but it's coming from that genuine, like, well, like you were saying, I want to be here, but what events are on? Does that tally up with my dates that I'm going to be in this side of the world or that? And again, like, it's people need to be able to plan those sort of things to get the maximum value out of it, don't they? And I think, again, even from an exhibitor, from a budget perspective, it's like, well, how do we, carve it up? What are we looking at? And how, and again, it'd be interesting to understand. I don't know if you have any insight, how far in advance they're sort of planning to go, well, if we do ICBC Berlin, then we'll do this one. And then, it gives them a bit more runway, and I suppose in line with, what they're spending and things like that.
Pretty far out from what I've seen when I've worked with people around
Right.
planning, because I've worked in events both on the event side and
Mm.
with companies that were going to exhibit and were sponsoring. And I mean, this was a long time ago, but the answer is pretty far out, especially
Mm.
for smaller orgs, and especially in cannabis too, because
Mm.
a lot of businesses are running on really tight margins. So if they can
Mm.
be smarter about it, if they know, hey, we've got um, this event and then that event, and oh, if we loop over here, we can also hit this. They can book their tickets and hotels, lock in sponsorships,
Mm.
or negotiate a better rate for
Yeah.
a sponsorship. This is all stuff that with a bit of pre-planning, you can do a better job of, get more visibility, get more brand awareness, get more presence in different places, have those meetings that
Mm.
move the needle forward. But again, I'm going to go back to the consumer side too. Like I've spoken with some small, I spoke at Women Grow in February in
Mm.
Maryland, which was a fabulous conference. And I've connected with a bunch of really great people. And some of them are starting small businesses and are looking at this and that. And they weren't aware of CMB, even though it's just up the road. It's just a few months later. CMB, I
Yeah.
abbreviate everything, cannabis means business.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so speaking to them and letting them know about that,
Mm.
then they're able to plan, like, because even if they come up for a day from Maryland, it's a drive up and back. If they don't want to
Yeah.
spend on a hotel, which can be expensive in New York, but at least pop in, network a little bit. And that's stuff they should be aware of. They should be aware of the people should be able to catch, to plan to
Hmm.
for the things that are happening locally. Like I don't fly all the way to Hall of Flowers because it's a little far. It's not quite critical for me.
Yeah.
Knowing when they are, if I happen to be out there visiting friends or family or attending a wedding or
Hmm.
whatever, it's useful.
No, no, absolutely, absolutely. But in terms of the events you're heading to this year, you mentioned CMB, Cannabis Means Business. That's New York. That's June, isn't it? Well, I know because I'm going to be there too. But ICBC coming up this month. We're middle of April now, pretty much, aren't we? You're going to be there too, aren't you? And what else are you looking forward to this year? What do you think is going to be interesting or standout events?
Well, so definitely ICBC. I'm really excited about that one. To be honest with you, I'm more excited about that one for the people I know will be there
Hmm.
because they've told me they're going to be there because they were able to plan for it, which is
Right.
critical.
E.
Um,
That's it.
Cannabis Means Business, I'm flying in for. Excited to see you there as well. I'm just going to shamelessly shout out. They did invite me to be on the board for Cannabis Means Business, which means I can get people a really sweet discount on conference passes if you use the code AS 2025 or a free Expo Hall pass. So
There
go
you
for
go.
it,
You heard
guys.
it here first. That's it.
Go for it. I don't get any kickbacks, so I just want to meet a lot of awesome people. Please show up. Um, I mentioned I'm planning to attend some of the little smaller ones that aren't on the radar of a lot of people who are working internationally, but I think it's important for me to important
Mm.
for me in my role at the cannabis community to be connected with some of the smaller local events.
Hmm.
Right now, Cannabis Europa, CB
That's
Club,
London. Yeah.
that's
Hmm.
London in late June. One of the CB clubs, I haven't decided which one yet. It may be September, it may be June if I do end up popping back for Europa. I am looking at, oh, I can never remember the name. The hemp one in Iceland looks really good.
Yes. Thanks for the future. Yes.
Yeah, Hemp for the Future.
Yeah.
My head it's Hemp Fest, which is not what it is. That's a completely
Yeah.
different one.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the medical one in Bordeaux. That's tricky though, because those two dates are really close, which is why it was important for me to be aware for
Hmm.
planning. If
Hmm.
to see if I can make it to both. And then I'm looking at MJ Biz as a
Yes,
tentative, 100% dependent on whether or not they accept this fabulous panel that's been submitted by Sarah
fabulous,
Payan,
right?
fabulous
Hmm.
marketing panel.
Yes.
Um, so it shameless self-promotion. It would be Dave on the
Hello.
call,
Hmm.
me, Sarah Payan, and David P. Palashuk. I always say his
Yeah,
last. Oh,
yeah,
wow,
they.
I got
Yeah, you did.
it.
Branding bud, Monsieur. Yeah,
Oh, he's fabulous. So, I mean, really, if you
yeah.
want to look at everything from the consumer, Sarah and I have this fabulous history and background from our roles, branding with
Mhm.
David and you, international, you and me, like it
Mhm.
just covers everything. So I think obviously MJ Biz should take it and we should all be there, but we'll
Obviously.
see. Because it is, at least for me, a little tricky because my birthday's in December and
Oh,
I don't really like to spend it in Vegas. So I
yeah.
need a really good reason to go.
Yes, that's it. That's it. But yeah, no, absolutely. Again, it's life, isn't it? Life gets in the way of some, even with the best will in the world to do all of these things. It's like, well, I've got to do this and that, and I have a real life too. And as much fun as it would be to travel the world in the name of cannabis, it's not sustainable long term. So we need to be able to go, actually, what's actually going to be important? Where are the audience I want to connect with going to be? Which, and you can only,
Yeah.
yeah, I think, again, and we all love, this industry really, I think it's where events are really, really where it comes together. And I think more and more it's good to kind of go to some talks and, walk the expo floor and things like that. But I think, again, it's all of these kind of more social events. I meant to talk to you earlier when I saw you, and you don't really know until you're there what the vibe's going to be like.
100%. And it actually, my biggest mistake in the industry was not going to events sooner. So I
Yeah.
actually got into the industry in 2016. So it's been almost 10 years.
Yeah, wow, cool.
And up until like I started really attending events post-pandemic because, and I really should have launched this website years ago because I became a nomad in 2014. So I was traveling all over the
Yeah,
world. What would happen is I'd find out about a really cool event like MJ Biz, but I was in Thailand,
right.
or I would be in Argentina and find out about something in Europe. And so it'd just be like I didn't have an easy way to pre-plan. I didn't want to sign
Mhm.
up on 800 lists to find out about events. I wasn't necessarily catching the ones that were relevant to me. And so I would find out too late to be able to plan to go. And so I really started going to events post-pandemic, and it has made
Mhm.
such a difference, both for my business and my ability to honestly serve the consumer at the end of the day, because making these connections and building these relationships and partnerships at the end of the day makes the industry better for the end consumer. And I think at
Mhm.
the end of the day, that is our job, is to connect the plant with the people. And it's easier for us to do when we have connections amongst ourselves.
Absolutely, and it's almost kind of incidentally knowing people, isn't it? And knowing, yeah, this is their role, but actually they're kind of interested in this aspect of it, or they're really knowledgeable about that, or they're really passionate about this other aspects. And I think you only get to really do that in person. I think when you
And
know, having those
traveling
conversations.
internationally is out of reach for a lot of people. Even traveling
Mhm.
domestically can be in the US because it's huge, can be really expensive. Like going to MJ Biz is a fortune. Like the flights, because of the timing, because it's the holiday season, are really expensive. The hotels, the conference
Mhm.
ticket, food, like everything. And so I want people to be aware, like, hey, I get it. It's hard for you to get from Chicago to Las Vegas for MJ Biz, but what's happening in Chicago that you can attend? What's happening in Florida? What's happening in Oklahoma? What's like, at the very least, attend the
What's
local.
happening in Oklahoma? That's
A great question. I don't know the answer to offhand because I'm not going to Oklahoma.
But no, you're absolutely right. It's that kind of, yeah. And I think, I think feel like the ones in Europe are fairly well documented. Again, there's maybe 15, 20 shows or something that most people who are, you don't even, would you agree with that, do you think? Or
20 shows that most people are aware of, but they're also the smaller shows that like CannaFest wasn't on my radar. I've been living in Europe for years, but that
right.
wasn't on my radar until last year. Hemp for the Future, like these are
Yeah.
really interesting events in really interesting places as far as the
Mm.
industry. And they didn't pop for me, but
Hmm.
they didn't pop for me because I had to go find them versus being able to go somewhere
Yeah.
that had curated them for me.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, but that's it. So, what's kind of next? You've mentioned in terms of the website, you're kind of sort of upgrading it a little bit. You've done a few upgrades. Have you got an email newsletter list, or are you
Not
working on that?
yet. That's
Okay.
definitely something that I want to do. Because what I'm having, because I'm floating it, I'm having to stagger how I'm doing stuff.
Yes.
So
Of course.
getting the actual website working in a better way was first. Getting all of the events was actually the very, very first thing.
Hmm.
The newsletter is going to come soon because I want people to be aware of my goal, and I don't know the logistical setup part of this yet, is I would like people to say, listen, I'm interested in events in June in Europe. So
Hmm.
I'm going to sign up and I'm going to tell you that's what I'm interested in. And now I want you to tell me when you find more. And I
Hmm.
want you to tell me when you find this and that. Because it's great to have this resource that people can visit, but I also am busy or lazy or just
Yeah.
not going to do it. And so I want you to proactively tell me. And we've had events where dates have changed.
Hmm.
Because I've actually
Yes.
reached out to every single event organizer that I could find, and said, hey, can you please confirm these dates and details? And can you, if you have extra information, because listen, for me to write a little blurb about your event is one thing, but if I haven't attended, I don't know it as well.
Hmm.
Um, so do you want to update the copy? Do you want to update images? Do you want to do these things? Like, I
Yeah.
want to be a resource for event organizers as well. Um, and a lot of them have gotten back to me and said, oh, this or that, or yes, we didn't have dates announced, or now they are. And I want, when that happens, when dates change, to be able to email people who've said, I'm interested in events either June in Europe or October in Europe, and an event has
Yeah.
moved from June to October. Now I can tell you.
So you could send them kind of more specifics related to their preferences and personalize it,
Exactly.
and that's all we want. Oh, okay, right. This is what I'm interested in. Boom, going to do that. Book
Yeah.
that. Book that. And
And
yeah,
also,
yeah.
people have asked for the ability to leave reviews, and I haven't figured that part out yet, but it might just be a
Mhm.
submit a form and I organize it. And then
Mm.
if you say, I'm interested in, I want updates about this event, you maybe publish the reviews. I haven't figured out the logistics of
Yeah,
anonymously,
I think that would be
whatever.
interesting. Again, that's
It
the
would
whole
be,
thing. There's it's hard to sometimes get a gauge on how things are, but with that kind of attendee kind of feedback loop, that's really, really useful, I think, as well, isn't it?
yeah,
Because people do talk. People talk about, did you go to this? Yeah, I went to that. It was okay. Or that one, yeah, definitely. I didn't know about it, but it was actually really, really cool, and I definitely go again, sort of thing, isn't it? But
yeah.
yeah,
And especially with
yeah,
the cost of some conferences, the
mm,
tickets, flights and
yes,
hotels and everything, you want to know what it's for. And I mean, listen, you and I are marketers. Outside of cannabis events, reviews are like so unbelievably powerful and important. And the fact that we
mm,
don't have a loop for this, because of course events are only going to say the most positive things about
yeah,
themselves. Understandably, all businesses do.
yeah,
But and it doesn't even have to be negative, but to know, hey, listen, if you're trying to go to ICBC and you want to network with people from Asia, it's not going to be your place. That's
hmm,
useful to know. It's not even a negative thing. It's just a useful thing to know. Or, hey, this has been positioned very specifically as being for business, but there's actually a lot of really good consumer contacts or B2C businesses that are there that might be useful, like whatever it is. And I'd like to
yeah,
have level of feedback also for the social stuff around it, because
yeah,
some parties have been better for networking. Some of them have been better for like socializing. And it's good
mhm,
to know what's what before you walk in.
yeah. No, I remember that around sort of Spannabis because again, a lot of the social. I mean, again, it's going to be interesting moving forward when it's in Bilbao, and whether, as I'm not sure if there is a club culture there in the same way the social clubs work in Barcelona. But again, all those little events that's going on, and there's such very different venues. And some that's like, yeah, you can't hear a damn thing. There's no point unless you're here to rage it up or whatever. Other ones are just like, actually, this was kind of a nice sort of more intimate, setting that we can have chats and blah blah blah, like the Green Boutique and places like that. And yeah, but again, it's like and what's going on. Like I remember Sarah Payan saying she was recording at one of the clubs and doing podcasts there and interviewing people. And yeah, I mean, again, all of these things that just seem to crop up and appear on these groups sort of 5 minutes before they're happening, and he's like, "Oh, shit, I'm
Well,
the right."
I'm not that good. I don't, if it pops up
No,
5 minutes before, I
no,
might be
no, but
asleep
again,
or something
the
else.
more
But
insight we have in advance, because
yeah.
it tends to sort of say, "Oh, by the way, I'm doing this thing. Everyone, if you're around," and oh, bloody hell, I'd love to go to that, but I
And that
can't.
ski weekend that happened before Spanibus as well. That was like, I didn't go. I didn't go to
Yeah,
Spanibus. I was
yeah,
in North America dealing with some stuff. But that was an interesting event that I know a bunch of
mm,
people attended. And I don't know how it went, but it
mm,
was very small, very curated.
mhm,
And I'd like for all of us to have those sort of resources, the awareness of it. And there is a submit an event page. I just want to call this out. There is a submit an event page. So if you come across an event or you have an event that you want listed, please submit it. It doesn't auto publish because I do just want to have a look at stuff first. Make sure it isn't already in the resource, just I didn't have the dates or something.
mm.
But yep, we have a submit an event
Okay,
thing
cool.
already. I like I said, I do want to have the reviews coming in. I have to figure that out. That's very much on the roadmap. I want to have the events around the major conferences. I want to make sure that the newsletter is set up. Like I've got a lot of plans for this. I
Yeah,
really want to make it the best possible resource because everything else I've seen out there historically has been limited and
mhm,
understandably because this is a lot of work. And now I'm seeing, and I'm finding this really cheeky. I'm seeing a lot of other resources that are popping up now. And oh, we have this comprehensive list. And it's like, yeah, you do
mhm,
now, but not a single event on your list isn't on mine. So please cite your sources, especially, and I'm
mhm,
not going to name
okay.
names, but some people who claim to be journalists or media people have been publishing these sort of things and promoting hard. And it's like, you never did this before. You're doing it now. I've actually spoken with someone on your team about this who loved what I was doing, and then
Yeah,
you
okay.
stole
Yeah,
it.
it does
But
raise questions for sure,
it,
and but again, it's about having that broader functionality, and that's where the real value is, and understanding that. I
yeah,
mean, anyone can produce a list, can't they? That's the thing, and
absolutely.
but
I mean,
having all of that built in is like actually those are the things that, like you say, people are asking for.
yeah. I mean, and the at the end of the day, this isn't, I didn't have this like revolutionary idea that no one's thought of. I've spoken to a few people and they're like, yeah, I meant to do
Mm,
that. I bought a domain and
mm,
cool. Um, if someone else wants to do it, they
mhm.
can. It's a lot of work.
This
So
is it.
if you're going to do it and you're not just scraping me, be prepared for the amount of work that you're planning to
Yeah,
do because
that's it. Well, it's kind of do it
uh,
or do it properly, right? Do
do
it
it
properly or don't do
do it
it.
properly.
Yeah.
Because listen, I don't love bashing my head against the wall. If there's going to be 700 other things that are claiming to do this and whatever, whatever, then the need is served. I don't need to
Yeah.
do it. And I
Mhm.
like this is a passion project. I'm trying to serve the
Yeah,
audience,
no,
but
absolutely.
if it isn't providing value, if it isn't something unique and useful, I'm okay with having other hobbies.
Aren't we all? Yeah,
I
but yeah,
really
yeah.
miss reading books and lounging around. Like I could have that time back.
Well, this is it. But this sounds like as much as it is a useful, commercial resource, it's also, like you say, a passion project, it's a labor of love of sorts. And I think again, there are so many, there is a need for this. And I think again, events really feel like the life, the life and soul of the industry to a great extent. And I think so many people get so much from them. It's like, well, let's make it easier on everyone. So
Yes,
no, no, absolutely.
that's the goal. The goal is to just make events easier on everyone, whether you're a huge MSO, or if you're just a person who consumes cannabis and wants to connect with the community around you, or
Yeah,
everyone in between. The goal is to serve as a resource for people who are looking to connect with other people at events,
yeah,
no matter the size or
absolutely.
location. So it's been really interesting to see the traffic climb and see what resources people are accessing and all of that, because as a marketer, of
Mm,
course, I've set up all the analytics. But I'm also really open to feedback. And if you see something that you want, if you notice a mistake or a gap, first of all, we have a
yeah.
contact form on the website. Also, team at cannabisevents.global or Amna at cannabisevents.global. It's all me. So I don't know why I have two
Mhm.
separate ones, but one day there might be
One
more.
day, you got to keep planning
Um,
ahead, living the dream. Yeah.
so it's yeah, like reach out. Like this is really just meant to be helpful. And as long as it's helpful, I'm happy to put the time and energy and money into it. But I kind of need to know it's helpful.
Yeah,
So
that's
visit
it.
the website, let me know, tell me what you want, share it, please share
Yeah.
it, because I'm not, all of my time and energy has been going into improving it, finding the events, building out all of the events again on a better plugin that's more useful, tagging, reaching out to the conferences. I don't have a whole lot of time to do a lot of marketing for it right now. So help me help you by sharing it.
Indeed. And we can find it at, is it www.cannabisevents.global? So
Yes.
that you've got that domain. Cool.
Yes, because someone had the .com and was doing nothing with it. So I
Okay.
said, okay,
Okay. Well, it is
I'm not
.global.
spending
Yeah,
thousands of dollars to acquire the .com. It's fine. These are global events.
indeed.
So yeah,
So
it's,
that's it.
and really guys, if you do a good job with it, I'm happy to build more resources. I just need the things that I'm putting my time and energy, my free time and energy and money into to be useful.
That's it.
So
We all want to be
it's not a threat,
useful.
it's
Yeah.
a promise. It's a carrot. It's a reward. You'll get more resources and functionality. No, carrot. Um,
Isn't it carrot and sticks or whatever? I don't know. That's
I
what
feel
I
like
meant.
this is carrot, and then this is like hitting someone. So to me, it's
I don't
stick.
know. I was thinking like, I'm riding a donkey and I've got my carrot on a stick and making the donkey. Not that
See,
I'm
but
calling people
you
donkey.
said stick. You're still carrot and stick. You're doing it
Oh, I don't
wrong.
know. Isn't that? I don't know. I don't know. It's early. No, it's not. It's nearly 11 o'clock in the morning. What's my excuse? But anyway, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, good luck with it all. And look forward to seeing you at, well, CMB, Cannabis Means Business in New York, which I'm very, very excited about in a few weeks.
Me too. I think it's going to be really good based on who I've spoken to that's attending.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And of course, we'll be there. So, that should be draw enough for people. But there we go.
Absolutely. Come find us on the floor.
That's it. Cool. Thank you very much and speak soon.
Talk soon. All right. Thank you.